Hello and welcome to this War for the Overworld introduction video. So, this beta was released yesterday in the evening, since I live in Europe. And if you've played Dungeon Keeper, this is basically Dungeon Keeper 3. So, let's jump into the game. So, the big thing here is my dungeon heart. This is basically my core. This is an imp, and you can see that they are capturing terrain for me. These are my available rooms. There are only 5 in this demo, and these are my spells. Rooms cost gold, and I have 0 gold. So you can see gold here that I can dig. My spells cost mana, and you can see that I have 1,000. You can spawn new imps, for example, with the spell, and you can see that mana regenerates extremely quickly. I will need to dig some rooms, but first I will need some gold, so let's carve our way through gold. When imps dig gold, they will return it to some rooms. The first room that can get gold is the dungeon heart, just like in Dungeon Keeper 2. But there's another room that can store gold. It's called the treasury. Now, let's carve this room. And spawn some more imps. As you can see, imps can reinforce walls. This will spawn torches that will dispel the fog of war, and also provide some additional defenses against enemy tunnelers that will try to get into your dungeon. This room I've just created is a lair. Well, it's not called a lair, I think, in this game, but it serves the same purpose. This means that creatures that will enter your service will make a home for them in this room. They will have beds and all. And this is where they will regenerate their health if they are wounded in combat. This is the possession spell. Just like in Dungeon Keeper, you can possess a creature and view through its eye, like in FPS. With the imps you can also dig through dirt. And since this is a demo, it's obviously not finished and not well implemented. The game is very choppy for the moment because it's not optimized. So let's build a treasury. As you can see, these are different tiles than the layer to differentiate them. The treasury can store a certain amount of gold. This is sorry. This is a necessary room because your dungeon heart can only store a certain amount of gold. At least it was like this in Dungeon Keeper 2. In DK1 you couldn't store gold in the dungeon heart. See the imps reinforcing the walls. And you can see that different rooms have different tiles for the walls, etc. Which is pretty nice. Just like in the other games. Well, let's dig here and here. We need to make some new rooms. This room will be a farm. I don't know if it's called a farm, but I like to call it a farm. A pig farm. if you played the Dungeon Keeper games, you know that you could create a room that's called the hatchery that would spawn chicks that your creatures could eat. In this game, it's pigs. Cute little piggies. Your creatures will need food if they want to stay happy, so you have to provide them food. And here is a pen. Well, you can see pigs will spawn. The high texture should be transparent, but for some reason it's not the case with me. This room we will make it bigger. And we will create a workshop here. If you've played the Dungeon Keeper games, you know that the workshop is used by a creature called the Troll to create some contraptions and traps. It's basically the same thing in War for the Overworld, and here let's create a library. And you can see that I have tracked an ink in the bookcase. Since the game is in a very early stage, the pathfinding is pretty bad. So creatures tend to get stuck in obstacles like this, like the pens, for example, or the bookcase and the smelting stuff in the workshop. So with the workshops, you could create doors and traps and stuff like that in the Dungeon Keeper games. It's basically the same thing in War for the Overworld, but of course there is no workshop interface for the moment, and the creature that works in the workshop is something a lot fearsome, a lot more fearsome than the old troll, like in Dungeon Keeper. So you can see that the treasury is now housing some gold. This room here is a portal. This will attract creatures when I capture it. I have captured it, but for the moment nothing comes out of it. We will have to wait a bit. When creatures get out of the portal, they will make a lair for themselves in a lair, and they will enter your service. They will require to be paid from the treasure room or the dungeon heart, and will require food from the breeding pens, the farms, etc. When you do not have gold or food or lairs, the creatures will get sad and then angry, and then they can rebel against you and destroy your dungeon. So you have to provide for them. It's just like SimCity or something like that. Dungeon Keeper was a game that was relying heavily on this, and you also had rivalries between creatures. Oh, but look at this. Here it is our first minion. And he created a bed. Just like in Dungeon Keeper, you can possess any creature you want. And as you can see, this is very alpha. Not finished at all. So, that we are almost done exploring our little dungeon. We will release this guy pretty soon. Yeah, here we go. And this is the ogre, the thing that works in the workshop, and you can possess him as well, but as you will see, yeah, it's not very optimal. So this commentary isn't live. I've recorded this video when the demo came out. This was like 4 in the morning, so my family was sleeping in the next room, so I am doing a not live commentary. This is actually the second commentary I do on this video because the first one was played with problems. so I'm re-recording it. I didn't talk about the game itself. Wolf of the Overworld feels extremely like Dungeon Keeper. I mean, extremely. It's very uncanny. It's almost some scary similarities to Dungeon Keeper. I haven't had this feeling in years, like Dungeon Keeper 2 came out 13 years ago. You can see another bed. This is the bed of a new creature that is called the cultist. You can see the goblin stuck. Here he is. It's basically a warlock. But he can also do incantations and stuff like that. And this game is weird because it has floating peaks, and when I lift my head I can see my body. Oh wow. This is weird, eh? It's obviously not finished, so it's a huge problem. I will release the so yeah, even if this is extremely bare bones and it's more like a technological demo than anything else, it feels like Dungeon Keeper. And you can see that here I have encountered some heroes that we will kill because we are bad. We're evil. Oh yeah. Unlike Dungeon Keeper, I didn't find a way to pick creatures up or slap them, so the combat in this video will be done with imps that are extremely aggressive and belligerent. So let's capture this room now, shall we? The rock, you can see, the white thing that looks more like bones than something else, is impenetrable rock. You cannot dig through it, it's too hard. Now here I create another treasure room that will prove to be completely useless in the end. But whatever. So with this demo you have two maps. You have the sandbox map where you do not have any opponents to fight, but you can expand pretty much anywhere you like. And you have this goodly conflict map, which consists of a neutral area where you can expand as your leisure, and a hero stronghold on the northwest. And here is a new creature that is proper to this game. This is the gargoyle. Just like the dragon in DK1, that is attracted to a big treasure room and also a big library. The gargoyle is attracted by your treasure room, and it will turn to stone in it to defend it against intruders, which is pretty cool. I like this concept. So far, I think the rooms look very cool, especially the treasure room, which is my favorite so far. So as you can see, there is no minimap, which is very weird. I imagine they haven't developed it yet, but this is something they will have to implement very quickly, especially in a game that is an RTS game. So let's build another treasure room and summon some more imps to do the work faster. So like I said before, the game is quite choppy. I run it in the highest graphical level, which is called Fantastic. Full screen in a pretty high resolution, and since I have fraps in the background and the game is not optimized, it has some frame rate issues, and you can see it doesn't run very fast. I think it runs like 20 frames per second, which is not very high, considering that I have a computer that is capable of running Metro 2000 pretty well and at the highest resolution, with the highest graphical options enabled, without suffering from too much frame rate issues like I had like 40 FPS. Yeah, basically in nature. But I digress. Let's continue extending our evil influence through the tiles, and let's dig some more gold, shall we? Now, this is something I find a little disappointing with Wolf of the Overworld for the moment, is that the terrain is pretty squarish. What I mean is that in DK2, for example, the terrain was extremely tortured. You could see that you really dug through the earth. For the moment, the tiles are pretty square, as you can see. It's a little gripe, but yeah, you understand me. Another thing that I liked a lot about this demo is that there is now Fog of War. Well, you had Fog of War in the Dungeon Keeper games, but when you explode terrain through your creatures, it stayed explored. Now, the only way to dispel Fog of War is to explore the terrain with your creatures just like in StarCraft, but you also have to reinforce your walls and build torches to dispel it, which is very nice. The problem with this Fog of War that is extremely dark is that the digging highlights stuff is extremely dark as well. So when you build a big room in an uncharted territory, you will see that the far end is extremely dark, which is something that they will need to change pretty soon because it's not extremely good. Something else that is pretty bad about this demo is the cursor, the hand of evil, as we call it in Dungeon Keeper. It doesn't work at all. It's very unresponsive. When you get on a creature, you can see that it begins to slap it or something like that, but it doesn't do anything. And it transforms into a pickaxe for no reason, and when you are on the build menu or the magic menu, you can see that it's extremely hard to select some stuff. Well, just like that. And you have to select it with the end of the pickaxe, basically. This was something that worked extremely well in the Dungeon Keeper games, but doesn't work quite as much in this demo. It doesn't work at all. But like I said, this is a very early demo, so everything is a work in progress. Now, amongst the things that I liked a lot in this demo of the music, I think the music is really cool. You can listen to some tidbits in the background. Unfortunately, I have run into a bug, or I don't know if it's a bug or something, where the music stops for quite a while. There is a part of this video near the 25th minute up to the 35th minute where there is no music at all, which isn't cool because the only creatures that make sound are the imps. You can hear them laugh. Looks like that we have reached the upper end of this corridor. We can dig now. So yeah, feels very much like Dungeon Keeper, which is something that I tremendously enjoy, since Dungeon Keeper is one of my favorite games. I discovered the series with the second game that was released in 1999, if I'm not mistaken, and it was one of my childhood games with Quake, Unreal Tournament, etc. and Half-Life, of course, and Quake. Yeah, but I already said that. And I discovered Dungeon Keeper 1 a bit later on, and I prefer DK1 to DK2 actually, mainly because of the combat and the humor that is better in DK1, I think. Since the developers are fans of the Dungeon Keeper games and especially of DK1, I think I've read somewhere that they are going to implement some different tile sets If you remember, in DK1 you had 4 tile sets. You had the normal one, you had the better one, you had the Aztec, and you had the snow. And I've read somewhere on the Kickstarter page, I think, that they are going to implement different tile sets as well. So this is something that I'm really looking forward to. And I was disappointed to know that in DK2 there were no different tile sets. So here we encounter some more heroes. These are Dwarven Fire Brothers, but there is no sprites for flames, so they attack doing nothing basically. Since there is no way to pick up creatures that I am aware of, I couldn't pick creatures up and drop them on the battlefield to fight the humans, so I'm basically using my imps to kill them. And in this version of the game, the imps are extremely aggressive and pretty strong actually. See how they just massacre these poor dwarfs. So here is a room, completely empty. But we are going to capture it, and we will make it our next treasure room, because we have gold here. And gold is nice. Here we go. So just like in DK2, you can drag and drop to create a room without doing it tile by tile like it was the case in DK1. Unfortunately, there is no blueprint for the moment, so you actually do not know if you have correctly selected the room and if you are correctly dragging and dropping. But I'm pretty sure this is something that will be fixed very soon or implemented soon. As you can see with the cursor, it doesn't react. It doesn't always react. So here, I should have the pickaxe, but I do not have it. But I have it now. Something I really like for the moment with this digging is that these sprites that come out when you dig some gold are pretty nicely done. I mean, this is a very basic effect, but it works very well. Just lacking some sound. So let's continue digging. We are not very far from our goal, that is the hero's outpost. So you will see some new creatures, well, a new creature, that is the Juggernaut. It's basically a very strong knight. But in this version, unfortunately, it can be killed as easily as the Dwarven Fire Brothers, because it's very weak, basically. And you can see that our treasure room here is beginning to be filled with gold and other donors, which is always nice for us, don't you think? Here is the hero outpost, and you can see that the juggernauts here are frozen in place. They don't move at all. They will not react unless provoked by our creatures, as you will see. Just like in Dungeon Keeper, the heroes are characterized by their white color, which is a little bit of continuity that I like a lot. Unlike games like Empire or Dungeons, I don't know if you've played that one, War for the Overworld feels very much like a successor to Dungeon Keeper. Very much like. Since I have access to the demo, I am obviously a backer, and I pledged, I think, like £45 last I remember. This is the highest I've backed, I think. No. No. I've backed 35 pounds, yeah. I've backed 45 for Torment. I like giving my money to Brave Fargo. So, here you see my imps are beginning to capture the enemy territory. Just like in the Dungeon Keeper games, you actually have to destroy the enemy tile, and then it becomes dirt, and then you have to claim it. In War for the Overworld, however, you can destroy enemy walls extremely easily. In DK1, it was impossible to do it without a spell, and in DK2, it was very hard to dig through enemy walls, but it could be done without a spell. In DK1 and DK2, you had a spell that was called Tremor. I think it was Tremor, yeah, that could destroy walls. Now that I think about it, I think in DK1 the spell was actually called Break Walls, simply as that. I'm not sure this is intended. I mean, destroying an enemy wall being this easily is probably an oversight or a bug, or I don't know. I don't think the game will it will be as easy. At least I don't hope so, because it's too easy. So of course, capturing enemy tiles takes a long time. And here we can see a wall tile that belongs to me for some reason. I don't know why. So this was intriguing, and I began to dig, but unfortunately I found nothing. The developers are planning to release a level editor called Dungeoneer, where you can create your own maps. I do hope we will see a lot of custom campaigns and multiplayer maps. This is what makes a game live long, as games such as Quake and Thief have proved times and times again. Like, you have new releases for Quake pretty much every week, if I'm not mistaken. You had like there was a map that was released pretty recently called Terror City, and there was of course Midnight Stalker, etc., etc. But I digress. One thing I liked with DK1 is that it had quite a lot of custom campaigns. Unfortunately, most of them are extremely hard, and I'm not joking when I say that, extremely hard. And you had also some campaigns for DK2, but you can count them on a hand basically, because they are extremely rare. And not as good as the ones from DK1, not gonna lie. So we can see a treasure here with some gold, and my imps are exploring. And just like in games like Warcraft and Starcraft, you can see that the fog of war returns when a unit leaves the terrain. Which wasn't the case in Dungeon Keeper. The only time fog of war could return was when you used a spell called the Sight of Evil. Yeah, speaking of evil, um, while this game is definitely Dungeon Keeper, it's pretty different as well. I've read on the developer commentaries that they do every Wednesday. Basically, they have a live stream where where the developer um, talk about stuff. And in this game, when you start a game, you can choose free paths like in an RPG, you know, like different classes. But it works the same way basically in this game, and you can select what they call veins of evil, and you have three veins. Last I remember, you have veins of wrath, veins of greed, and veins of sloth. And what they do, if I remember correctly, they allow access to different build trees or technology paths. And basically, if you choose the vein of greed, you will not have the same stuff as if you chose the vein of wrath, etc. This is pretty cool. Actually, I like this a lot. This is it's very interesting, in my opinion. Of course, capturing rooms works exactly like in the Dungeon Keeper games, where you have to get some imps to do the work, and if the room is pretty big, it will take a long time. On the contrary, if it's small, it will take no time at all. So here we are going to capture an enemy library, and you can see that the AI tends to get stuck, like I said, pretty often. Now extending our territory, we can see that there is a pathway here that is unexplored. And this will be our next task. Let's summon some hymns to take down these juggernauts. As you can see, the AI is very basic. It's more than basic, actually. Here you go. In Dungeon Keeper games, if you remember, or if you've never played them, you basically had to level your creatures. When a creature entered your domain, it went to a room called the training room, where it gained levels, and it gained new abilities. Like, let's take the iconic monster of Dungeon Keeper, the Bile Demon. In DK1, the Bile Demon was a fearsome warrior, but at level 1 to level 4, it was pathetic. It attacked only in melee, and it was pretty bad. But once it got to level 4 up to level 10, it became a killing machine. It gained some abilities, like it could create a fart gas cloud, or it could throw some grenades that could explode, etc. Apparently, it works exactly the same way in Wolf of the Overworld, meaning that your creatures get some of the abilities, like, let's say the Juggernaut gains some pounding stuff that really hurts, or a healing spell, etc. I'm pulling that out of my ass, but you get the idea. Apparently it works exactly like this. But since there is no training ground for the moment in the game, the abilities are not yet implemented. So you have very basic combat. And now, something that was pretty different between DK1 and DK2 was the combat. In DK1, combat was extremely quick, and you had a lot of war cries and stuff like that. Like if you have a lot of fighting wild demons against fairies and samurais, with demon spawns and warlocks, and you get some nasty cries everywhere. That was a real mayhem, you know. And combat was very quick. In DK2, combat was extremely slow, and you did not have a lot of war cries and stuff like that. Yeah, you have the goblins with their like that, or I remember you have the volume with the etc. That was not very cool, and the combat was slow, which is why I prefer DK1 to DK2. In War for the Overworld, I have the impression that the combat is pretty much like DK2, meaning that it's pretty slow. But since there is no abilities and no sound, it's very hard to draw some conclusions from that. But I do hope that the combat is more like DK1 than DK2, really. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, and I don't remember now. Yeah, sound. For the moment, there is practically no sound in the game except for some music and the noise the imps make, and the footsteps, and the digging, etc. And there is practically no sound feedback. Since this is a very early demonstration, I'm pretty sure this will change very quickly. But yeah, it's just a demo, so for the moment it's not that important, I think. So let's continue capturing rooms now. And exploring the dark depths of the underworld. Which is something I like in this game because the fog of war is very dark. Let's summon some more imps. And take this juggernaut out. So yeah, the height texture should be transparent. It's not. Oh well. Let's capture this farm and kill the juggernauts and the Woven Fire Brothers. Of course, the more imps you have to capture, the faster it goes. Even I, who is extremely bad at math, know this. Fortunately, since this is an extremely early version, there is not much to comment on. Especially since the combat is extremely basic, and it's mainly done through the blood imps. And as you noticed, the music is back, which is a relief. I really like it. It really conveys a very good, dark, forgotten feel. And I've always liked the ambient tracks used in Dungeon Keeper, especially in DK1 with the very evil music. And I think that, yeah, the music so far in the Wolf of the Overworld gets the job done quite well, really. Kudos to developers for that. Another thing that is pretty cool about this game, which is not in this beta version, is that they managed to get Richard fucking Ridings in the game. You know, the mentor in Dungeon Keeper 1 and 2. The guy who said, your minions didn't cable, or you have earned a hidden gaming tip, go to bed. I'm doing a very bad impersonation, but you know who I'm talking about. And they managed to get him on board. So, yeah, this is Dungeon Keeper 3, really. I am very enthusiastic about this project. I remember when they, I followed it before it got on Kickstarter. I remember I am a lurker of a forum Keeper Clan, which is dedicated to Dungeon Keeper. Sorry. I'm not registered on the forum, but I browse it once a week. And I remember that Wolf of the Overworld was a fan project at the beginning, and then it evolved into what you see here. It was a very successful Kickstarter, and after that, the developers opened a PayPal campaign that managed to raise the two combined managed to raise over $225,000, something like that, which is extremely good. Yeah, but that was very nice, and I'm very proud to be part of this adventure, especially considering that this really looks like Dungeon Keeper. It plays well. For the moment, the few stuff we have plays like Dungeon Keeper, it looks like Dungeon Keeper, it sounds like Dungeon Keeper, it is Dungeon Keeper. Let's summon some more imps to get these guys out of the way. If you're interested in getting the game, you can get to their website, that is wf2ftogame.com. wftogame.com, yeah. And you can pre-order it through Steam. When the demo was released, when it yesterday night for me in France, at like 1 AM approximately, the Steam pre-order was enabled. You can also donate to them through PayPal if you're interested. I don't know if they distribute the demo through PayPal. I am not sure. But if you're interested, you can donate or pre-order the game. I know that a public demo will be available in the future before the release, I think, which is for this year. I don't know when. Considering the state of this beta, this is more an alpha version, I don't think it will be for this summer. I think more like fall or winter, something like that. Yeah. So here we discover a new room. Dungeon Keeper veterans know what this room is, since it serves exactly the same purpose as Wolf of the Overworld. For those who do not know, this is what we call a hero gate. This is basically from this structure that only heroes spawn. and you have to destroy it by capturing it. In DK2 you had two types of hero gates. You had a 3x3 hero gate, as you can see here. You had to capture all the tiles surrounding it to capture it, which is why I carved, I dug the rock surrounding it, but it's useless in War for the Overworld because you can capture it like this. You just need to have a touching tile and you can capture the room, which is nice. And the second type of hero gate you had in Dungeon Keeper 2 was a 3x1 that was indestructible, and you couldn't capture it. Even if you captured the tiles around it, there was no way you could capture it. As you can see, the imp is capturing the hero gate. And this will prevent heroes from coming back. In Dungeon Keeper 1, the hero gates were hero portals and they were ethereal, so you couldn't capture them. Even if you captured all the tiles in the room surrounding it, heroes could still pop out. So you had to be careful and build some guard posts and stuff like that. So we are nearing the end of this video. You may be wondering, why am I digging? It's because I want my imps to focus on a single task, that is digging, and they will all converge to this point, which means that they will attack on sight and destroy the heroes, like this Juggernaut, for instance. In DK1, building a one tile wide corridor was a problem because the imps captured extremely quickly. When you entered possession, it was even quicker. In DK2, this wasn't the case because the game was much slower and the imps took a long time to capture. I think War for the Overworld has a nice compromise because it is quick enough and not too quick enough. However, they dig a lot faster than in DK2, that's for sure. And here is the other hero gate that we will capture. And this will be the end of the video. Let's summon some more imps to do the work. So contrarily to DK1, in DK1 spells cost gold. In DK2 spells cost mana, and mana regenerated. The more tiles you had, the quicker it regenerated. In War for the Overworld, it seems to be entirely different, and regenerates regardless of the territory you have. For this version, this is extremely quick. So, this wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I may do other videos for this game in the future with new releases and new updates. So, see you guys next time. Bye bye.